Okay, again, good evening. We'd like to get our awards ceremony started, so continue to eat. If you want dessert, there's still desserts up there. There's beverages. We're going to start our award ceremony. So at this time, even though I introduced him earlier, I'll introduce Dr. Neil Schnorr, NSU's president.
Good evening. I am Neil Schnorr, and it is my privilege to be president at Northern. And I'll be sort of your MC for a little bit of tonight anyway. Not only do we have a talented group of folks to be inducted tonight, but if you read your program and look around the room, you'll probably recognize a number of previous Hall of Fame distinguished alumni inductees. If we have any former inductees joining us tonight, would you please stand at this time so we can recognize you? So to put a few numbers with that, we have over 30,000 graduates across the world. So indeed, being honored is a tremendous testament to your talents and hard work and your days at Northern. No homecoming celebration is complete without crowning of the Queen and Marshal. Joining us this evening is the 2022 Homecoming Royalty. This year's Homecoming Queen is Murray Larson. Murray is from Webster, South Dakota. She's majoring in English with an emphasis in literature and a minor in creative writing. She is currently working on a novel with the dream of having it published one day. And this year's Marshal is Drew Veflin. Drew is from Watertown, South Dakota. He's majoring in psychology. Drew hopes to become a clinical psychologist when he completes his schooling. Let's give a warm round of applause, Queen and Marshal. The Hall of Fame and Distinguished Alumni induction is always a highlight of homecoming. This is an opportunity to recognize the accomplishments of Northern alumni who have made significant contributions both in their professions and in their time at Northern. We're here this evening to recognize you, your teammates, your coaches, professors, and your families. Northern takes great pride in all of you, all that you have achieved. We also want to welcome back to Wolves Country because no matter where you live or what you do, you'll always be a member of Wolves Nation. So Kurt, if you want to start making your way this way, we're going to begin the inductions this evening by welcoming Kurt Fredrickson to the podium. Kurt, of course, is former NSU women's basketball head coach, and he will help us, he'll make the induction of Rachel Krogman-Regier to the Hall of Fame tonight. Rieger. Apologies.
Thank you, Dr. Schnorr. Well, happy Gypsy Day, everybody. It's good to see a lot of old faces that we haven't seen for a long time, and I'd like to congratulate the inductees going into the Hall of Fame. Feel very proud to be here tonight because anytime you have a former player going into the Hall of Fame, it kind of makes you feel like a father a little bit. And also feel very happy to be here tonight because that means I'm still above the grass. So, Rachel Regier, just kidding. Rachel Regier is from Elkton, South Dakota, small town on the Minnesota border. Played in the state tournament here when she was a junior and she was a senior. And we had an opportunity to watch her play and really liked the way she played the game and how physical she was. So we recruited her, and she decided between her junior and senior year to come to Northern, so had to be a little bit fun for her to come back her senior year, knowing she was going to play college basketball here. The first week she got here at school, we were a little concerned because she wanted to go out to eat, so she goes out to eat by herself and goes to this establishment and goes up to the speaker and says, "I'd like 2 kids' meals and a Coke and fries." lady now comes back to her and says, "Ma'am, this is a car wash." So after that, we were a little leery about Rachel Rieger. Rachel played in 15 games as a freshman, and she played in 15 JV games and played in 12 varsity games. We've always had our incoming players play in both varsity and JV games, so they got a lot of experience before they got to their sophomore year. So she did a lot of playing, and when she was in college, she found out that she had a left hand that she could use when she wanted to, or a right hand, I should say. She was left-handed, so that certainly helped her game out. Coming into her sophomore year, she hurt her knee, and she hurt her knee bad enough where she couldn't play at the start of the season, but probably halfway through the year she could have stepped in and played. And her and I made the mutual decision that it was probably best that we hold her out. So she did practice the last month or so of our season and saved her year of eligibility. So Rachel was in our program for 5 years when she graduated. Rachel, I don't think, realized that a lot of her coaching that she got from her college coach came from his old football coach. And I see Dr. Kretschmann's in the audience tonight, and just want you to know how mean he was when he was my coach, just like I was mean when she was her coach. When I was a freshman playing football at Northern, I played behind a guy at safety that had so many muscles he was hurt all the time. So I got a chance to play quite a bit. And Kearney State was our big rival. And Kearney came up here, and I usually was on the same side as the tight end. So I was playing coverage in about the third quarter, and this big tight end comes in over the middle, and I was really going to put one on him. So I come up and hit him probably higher than I should. I bounced off of him, and into the end zone he goes. And we ended up winning the game. But that Dr. Coach Kretschmann on Monday, come film session, when he got to that play, he showed that replay over 5 times to the entire team and told everybody how that's not the way you want to tackle. And I'm sure Rachel saw the same thing when we went over films and things got replayed in front of her. One other thing I'd like to tell you about Dr. Kretschmann, the fact that, or a lot of things, but we'll keep it short. One of the things that have always stuck with me that he used to say to us, and Rachel will abide by this, is the fact that every year when we played football, he would always say to our team, if cussing and swearing would make us a better football team, we'd practice it for 10 minutes every day. And I always told that to my athletic teams, and I've never forgot that. And a lot of them probably will use that when they go out, but when you think about it, it certainly makes a lot of sense, and it stayed with me for a lot of years. Some of Rachel's awards, I don't have to sit there and read how many points and rebounds she got, but one of the things you should know is that there are 2 people ahead of her in relationship to points and rebounds. One of them was an All-American, Julie Jensen-Roselle, and the other one was Noelle Hall, 2 big-time players. Rachel's in 3rd place of all the Northern athletes, basketball, in relationship to how many rebounds and how many points she got. So I think that's a huge testament to her. When she was a senior, she was given the Hildred Wolf Award. And the Hildred Wolf Award is for the top student athlete here on campus, and it's pretty much voted on by the coaches. And there isn't anybody that knows the athletes probably better than the coaches do. And so she was the Hildred Wolf Award winner her senior year in college. So, and to go along with her points and her rebounds, she was an academic All-American. So she did it on both sides. And so we're very happy to welcome Rachel Rieger to the NSU Hall of Fame.
Rachel Krogman Rieger graduated from Northern State University with a Bachelor's of Science in Education in 2015 and a Master of Science in Education in 2018. She lives in Aberdeen, where she works as a teacher at Holgate Middle School, but is transitioning to a position at Huff Construction in June. She and her husband Jeff have one son, Mason. Rieger played basketball for the Wolves from 2010 to 2015, ending with 1,440 career points, good for 7th all-time, and 980 career rebounds, 3rd all-time. She is the school record holder, averaging 8.8 rebounds per game in her career. She is a single-season school record holder with 356 rebounds, a two-time NSIC All-Conference selection, co-SIDA Academic All-American, and NSU Hildred Wolf Award winner. Congratulations to Northern State University Hall of Famer Rachel Krogman Rieger.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Don't forget to take your trophy here when you go.
Okay. Thanks, Coach. Good evening. I'm very honored to be here. To be chosen as an inductee was a thought that never crossed my mind, but I greatly appreciate being thought of and chosen. There are so many people, to thank that helped me get to and excel at Northern. Thank you to my parents, who've been my biggest supporters and fans since day one. They took me to camps, team camps, summer tournaments, and attended as many Northern games as they possibly could. Thank you to my family, to my siblings, Brian, Eric, and Megan, and their wives and husband, cheered me on as much as they could, even when they couldn't attend the games. My grandparents, who traveled braving the cold, and my parents, both to and from Northern. And even my in-laws traveled to a couple weekends supporting me and the Wolves. And thank you to my husband. Stop. Sorry, distracted. Thank you to my husband who came to my games even when I was injured, which possibly lost out on some hunting, some fishing time. Yep. Thank you to Coach Fredrickson for giving me a chance to play the sport I love while also paying for school. Because of that opportunity, I learned how to manage my time, be disciplined, and to persevere, like right now. Thank you to my teammates who picked me up and encouraged me when needed. Teammates who cheered me on and pushed me to be my best, and teammates who became my best friends. Thank you to Coach Holmes for getting me involved in SAC, Student Athlete Advisory Committee, and being a constant supporter in the background for not just me, but all athletes here on campus. Thank you to the professors who made classes memorable and made me feel seen, a few of which even cut out newspaper clippings, and I still have them at my house. Northern is a very special place. I'm grateful to my coaches, to trainers, event staff, and even community members, and many others for the experiences, memories, and opportunities I've had. I thoroughly enjoyed every single aspect of my athletic experience, from preseason workouts that included long-distance runs that are still my least favorite and most traumatic workout experience, to long bus trips throughout the years. From arriving late to a game, Coach, I don't know if you remember this, but I do. As a freshman, we arrived late to a game with only about 15 minutes to spare in Duluth, to competing and winning a conference tournament championship. I had the opportunity to play in high school-like gyms with only a handful of observers, but I also got to play in front of the best Division II fan base, night in and night out. Thank you again to the individuals I mentioned, those I may have forgotten, and to Northern for the incredible experience I was given. Lastly, thank you for the privilege of being inducted to the Hall of Fame. Thank you.
And she's getting Mom of the Year award. You were very patient with him. There was no scolding. He's smiling and happy. So congrats, Mason. At this time, I'd like to welcome Dean Barry to the podium. Dean is our head baseball coach at Northern, and he's going to help us induct Adam Campson into the NSU Hall of Fame. So thank you, Coach.
All right, thanks, Zach. Obviously, it's a tremendous honor to be here tonight to be able to experience and witness basically NSU greatness and to hear the stories and hear the accolades that they all were given and with their performances and funny stories and the bus rides and everything that happened. It's fun to be a part of. It's with great pleasure I get to introduce Adam. Unfortunately, I didn't have the pleasure of coaching him. But I did have the opportunity to coach against him. He probably doesn't remember, but I was at Mayville State at the time. I think it was 2006. And I remember coming down here, and I'm coaching third base, and the way you might remember is this weird guy coaching third base staring at me all the time, because that's what I was doing. This guy at third base was Adam Campson, and I could not for the life of me understand what this guy was doing on this field. One, he looked different, and this isn't to take away from your teammates. He looked different in his uniform, didn't he? It's just, I'm sure you guys look great, but I just stared at him the whole time. He was that kind of a player. And the entire time I was there, I'm like, how can I get him to transfer to Mayville State? So I'm coaching third, and obviously I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing. But it literally was that obvious that this guy was a special player. And as you read and as you see the video about Adam, he truly is one of the greatest baseball players in NSIC history and obviously Northern State history. The one thing that sticks out to me also is not only was he the best player on that field that day, but I believe he was probably the best player on every field that he played on. And when you play in the NSIC, that says a lot, because there's draft picks all over the place in this conference, and it just speaks volumes for Adam and his abilities. Since I never had the pleasure of coaching him, him and I have stayed in touch over the years a little bit through phone and text and that sort of thing, and following what he's doing. But I reached out to some of his teammates who obviously grew up with and played here, and just kind of looking for something a little bit more on what they had to say, on what type of player he was, what type of person, what type of teammate. And here's a few of them. He was just a leader, and we were just lucky to be a part of it. Adam showed everyone what it truly meant to work hard. You hear that all the time about what makes an athlete special is not only being a great player, but making those around you better. And I think that's exactly what Adam did. Here was a guy who got all the attention, the awards, recognition, and you couldn't tell. He didn't change. He was still a great leader. He was still a great teammate. Thank you, Adam Campson, and congratulations on this tremendous honor.
Adam Campson graduated in 2008 with a Bachelor's of Science in Physiology. Campson played baseball for the Wolves from 2005 to 2008, ending with a career .391 batting average, .731 slugging percentage, and 45 home runs. He was a two-time NSIC batting champion, the 2008 NSIC Player of the Year, three-time NSIC All-Conference honoree, two-time ABCA All-Region selection, two-time NSIC Preseason Player of the Year, a 2008 ABCA All-America third-team member, and the 2008 top slugger in the country. Campson is the Northern State School record holder for single-season on-base percentage and slugging percentage, achieving those marks in the 2008 season. In addition, he ranks top 10 in career at-bats, batting average, slugging percentage, hits, doubles, triples, home runs, runs batted in, stolen bases, runs scored, and walks. In his career, he has been named President's Club winner 3 times. He now works as a medical device rep for Medtronic in Louisville, Kentucky. He and his wife Erica have 2 children, Jones and Lenny. Congratulations to NSU Hall of Famer Adam Campson.
I always bring water to the podium when you know you got to speak. Well, I could sit up here and talk about myself for hours, so I hope you got full drinks, right? No, I'm just kidding. I'm a shoot from the cuff type of guy. I always have been. My wife right here told me to plan a speech, so I wrote 6 words down. So I hope we can make it happen. So first of all, I really want to thank the NSU Foundation for making myself, my wife, my mom, all my teammates feel welcome. It's been awesome to come back and just kind of see how this place has evolved in the last 18 years probably. It's cool. Zach, thank you for the tour. Thank you for the swag. Thank you all for making us feel very welcome. So how did I get here? You know, that's the key. Everybody wants to know. If you guys couldn't guess by the baseball tables here, much like myself, I was a little rough around the edges growing up. So because of that, there weren't a ton of opportunities to me, but Northern was a good fit. I actually came down here with my girlfriend to see the school, and Coach Frederickson over there, he said, hey, you look like you could play some ball. Here's some money, and you'll start right away. I said, tell me where I sign. So that's how I got here. Northern definitely was not my first choice, second, maybe even third. Who knows at that point in time? I was young. But wow, what a fun time we had, and it's awesome to be here and see all my teammates having a couple beers, reminiscing, telling stories, and really reliving what's important about college athletics. You know, you want to work hard, you want to be a great athlete, you want to make friends, but what you really want to do is have a roommate send you 18-year-old videos from his laptop while he's supposed to be at school working about the stuff you're supposed to be doing, even though you signed that piece of paper over there, you're not supposed to have any fun or something like that. So Northern's baseball program, when I got here, it's not what it is today. It was a little rough around the edges. Coach Frederickson really did a good job bridging us. But really, to see what Coach Dean is doing right now, it's awesome. I would like to think that the difficult conversations that I had with Coach Frederickson and Coach Olson, where are you at, Coach Olson? I see you somewhere around here. Where are you at? You know, we always had some upfront conversations about what this baseball program needed. You know, we weren't very respected within the conference. We weren't respected really, sometimes even within the own athletic program. And it takes people that have passion and play with passion to really start making some of those foundational changes to mold the clay to make it what it is. And to see how many players are on that roster this year, Coach, you're doing a fantastic job. I would like to think that these hooligans over here and myself maybe had a little role in making that happen. So we're happy to be back and see that there's some movement happen. And there'll be a baseball field here on campus soon, hopefully. We're going to make it happen sooner or later. So, you know, it's awesome to see those small changes really come to fruition. But to make a great athlete and to have someone who cares about helping others succeed, it takes a good example. My example for me was my fantastic mother right here. So my mom grew up she's the oldest in a Catholic family, and I'm not sure if you all are familiar with what Catholic families do, but she had a lot of younger siblings. And because of that, she had to grow up early and be responsible and be selfless and sacrifice and make all those things happen. And she passed those traits on to me and my very rambunctious brothers. And because of that, you know, Mom, thank you very much. So selfless. She worked 3 jobs, trying to figure out rides for us to and from baseball, all making it happen. So, Mom, this doesn't happen if you don't do what you do, and I love you, I appreciate you. For these misfit teammates of mine. Yeah, let's do that one time for Mom. For all these misfit people you see in front of us here, my teammates, you know, gosh, we had some fun, and it's been awesome. The award means everything, but just to reminisce the last couple weeks and set this up with all y'all boys, so cool. I'm so proud. I would like to think that hopefully I had a hand in making y'all better baseball players and better men, because, man, I know you all did that for me. So thank you very much for molding me, and I hope I molded you. And if you got koozie money, it's due. Bring the koozie money up. Bring the koozie money up. If y'all don't know, we came here, we were severely underfunded. And so we did some things that we had to do to make money so we could go on our spring trip. Coach Frederickson, I owe you 17 cents for that meal one time at Burger King. I swear, I'm going to get it to you. You got Venmo? You got Venmo? Let me Venmo you real quick. I'm just kidding. So hard work, determination, selflessness, those are all things that you got to have. But you also have to have someone who's a mentor. And I'm so thankful that Coach Ferguson, who came up here from Illinois, who's the head coach down there, drove all this way just to be here and celebrate with us tonight. Coach, if it's not because of you, I don't have my ugly face on a couple baseball cards playing after college. So I appreciate everything you've done for me. I know your right arm probably feels like crap right now, all the BP sessions you've done. But it means the world to me, and it's been great to catch up with you, and I look forward to the next 24, 48 hours with you. So thank you very much. So what else makes a great baseball player a great athlete? You gotta love to work. And man, I love to work. I mean, you can ask these guys here. There was nothing I enjoyed more than waking up at 5 a.m., coming over to the Barnett Center, and just getting into business with the boys. I still love it. This day, watching Coach Barry introduce me makes me want to get up in that cage and drop some cage bombs right now. Alex, you got a little loose? You ready for me? And I do love it. I was trying to force guys every day to come in with me at 5 o'clock in the morning, do parachute work, agility work, anything I could to just be the best baseball player. Because I knew if I led by example, all these guys would follow, and they did. And I'd like to think that we made some progress and having some fun, but also turning this baseball program into a respectable one. So I appreciate all y'all with that. I got two really good stories about how hard I worked back in college, so I'm going to toot my own horn for a little bit. Number one, I learned about a week and a half ago when I invited Coach Ferguson. So Coach Ferguson's been coaching for 20 years, college, professional baseball. And when I invite him, he told me, he's like, Camp, they call me Camp, by the way, I'm sorry. In my 20 years, I've never seen a guy who ever worked harder than you. And man, that really hit me because you know what? He's coached a lot of really good baseball players, some significantly better than me, but you were never going to outwork me. Never going to outwork me. So that meant a lot to me. I'm glad you shared that with me. The second is kind of funny because it's the late, great Don Meyer who coached the basketball team at 5 o'clock in the morning, and that's when I did my work. So I was the only crazy dude over in the corner down here, throwing up my parachute, running, doing agility work, all that crazy stuff. And Coach Meyer came up to me one time, and I knew him because I had him in class. He goes, Campson, I don't know what's wrong with you. Are you just crazy or you just love the pain? And I said, I am crazy, and I do love the pain. And he looked at me as stoic as Coach Meyer could be, and he goes, now go brush your teeth. Your breath smells like beer. Who knew old guys could smell so darn good? Put in a ton of work, and when I look back and I reflect, and the home runs and all the accolades, all super cool. I'm very proud to have those pins on my chest, but what I'm really proud about is getting to see these guys down here and just see a couple good fathers, good husbands, good spouses, and we molded each other throughout those years, and it's cool to really see that. I'm proud of you all. I'm not up here because of that. And so although Northern may not have been my first choice, I sure as heck feel like it was my best choice, and I got a lot to show for it. And I'm super proud to be a Hall of Fame Wolf baseball player.
And your water. Thank you, Adam. I really appreciate the passion, and that we talked about it earlier, and I asked if he'd written out his speech. He's like, I'm a salesman. I got this. Erica wasn't quite so sure, but I think he did very well, Erica. So congratulations, Adam. Now I'd like to introduce Fran Hummel to come up. Fran is a former NSU wrestling coach, and he's going to help us induct Doyle Everson to the Hall of Fame this evening. Please join me in welcoming Fran Hummel.
Thank you, Zach.
Hi, Coach.
Thank you all very much. I see a lot of familiar faces, and it feels like home whenever I get back here to Northern. It's a pretty special place, and I'm sure all of you feel the way I do about this place. I'd like to thank Zach and the selection committee. It's been a while. Josh Moon and I pushed hard on this selection, and there's a very deserving selection into the Hall of Fame when you see his credentials. I coached here from 1978 to 1991, and it was a great time. Made some wonderful friends, lifelong friends, and have a great deal of respect for the program. And I think Dr. Kretschmann is one of the people I admire the most. It was one of those things when a wrestling program was kind of mediocre. To get the program to another level, you have to have the support from the top down. And he was always in our corner, so to speak. There are some great ones that came through the program. You'll recognize these few. There are 7 kids that are wrestlers that are now in the Hall of Fame that were in that era. Bob Hirsch, who's here tonight. Chris Lund, who passed away. God bless his soul. He was just awesome. Dave Harvey, 2-time national champion. Doyle Everson, Todd Ford, Steve Kessler, and Eddie Clark. Those are the Hall of Fame people that went through there. But I would be selling the program and the athletes short. There were so many other great kids. Not everybody's going to make the Hall of Fame. It's a select few. But we had good numbers. We had a lot of enthusiasm. We had some great kids. I think wrestling is one of the sports where the kids in the program have to really help you recruit kids to the program to get better. And I think that was the key to success. I don't know if you'll find another alumni grad like Bob Hirsch, who sells the program every place he goes. Kenny Fouts, Mike Wiley. Those are guys that they talk Northern Wrestling, and that's why the program got to the level it did. I was pretty lucky to get some good recruits, but I always felt to get a 2-time state champion or a 3-time state champion, that would be a recruiting level that, that's hard to achieve. They want to go D1, they want to go D2, and we were NAIA. And when I recruited Doyle Everson, he was a 3-time high school state champion. This kid only lost 4 matches in his entire high school career. I mean, that's out of this world. I mean, there's kids that go to Iowa, kids that go to Nebraska or wherever and wrestle that didn't have those kinds of records. Doyle comes from a wrestling family. Mom and dad were in his corner all the time. And that's generally how a lot of wrestling parents are. They watch those kids lose weight. They watch those kids work out. They watch them wear rubber suits to drop those last couple pounds. They kind of live and die with them. Doyle was pretty outstanding. The one thing I remember most about Doyle was the leg rides. I was dumb enough to let him throw his legs in on me once. I outweighed him by 60 pounds. He literally crushed my chest. I likened his leg ride to a boa constrictor. There were kids that they would never want to be down in the wrestling room when Doyle was on top. That's how ferocious his leg rides were. So I really, it's just one of those great guys to get inducted. I really had a lot of appreciation for when he called me the night it was announced that he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. He had tears. He's just a really good guy. And now I would like to introduce to you one of my favorites that went through the program in 13 years, Doyle Everson.
Doyle Everson earned a Bachelor of Science in Education from Northern. He lives in Rapid City, working for Connect Home Center. Everson and his wife Margaret together have 6 children: Erica, Francis, Donnie, Christopher, Harold, and Jeremy, and 14 grandchildren. Everson had over 100 career wins, a 30-win season, and was a 2-time national qualifier. In 1985, he won 2nd place in the NAIA National Championships. The Wolves finished 3rd as a team that year. He is also a 4-time NAIA National Qualifier and a 1987 NSFC Conference Champion. Everson holds the school record for most career points, and he is a member of the South Dakota Wrestling Coaches Association Hall of Fame and Mitchell High School Hall of Fame. In 1992, he coached the Miller High School wrestling team to a 3rd-place state tournament finish. He has volunteered as a South Dakota High School Activities Association wrestling official for 30 years. At Mitchell High School, he was a 3-time state champion and 1-time runner-up, as well as a high school All-American with a 109-4 record. Congratulations to Northern State University Hall of Famer Doyle Everson.
I want to thank everyone, Northern Foundation, the selection committee for giving me this award tonight. Like I was telling Zach and Laura when we went on the tour, I was at a pool tournament in Brookings, and I was staying at my sister Cammie's house, and we played pool play. But they weren't sure if we were, getting in the regular tournament or not. So my phone rings and I see it's a 612 number. I better answer this. They might tell us what time we're shooting pool, and got on there and she asked this Doyle, yep. And the lady said, we'd like to put you in the Northern Hall of Fame. And it's been 35 years since I was at school here, and I tell you, I had tears of joy coming down my face. And first person I call, I always call him Mr. Northern Wrestler Bob Hirsch, because if I want to know anything about Northern or South Dakota wrestling, Bob's a walking encyclopedia. So I got a hold of Bob. I said, hey, I need Coach Humps' number. And probably had tears when I called him too. So, but next group I'd like to thank is my mom and dad. My mom and dad, fortunately, I still have them with me. They're with me tonight. My siblings are with me. Less than one brother. He couldn't make it up here. But if he was here and he was talking to you folks, he'd say, yeah, between Doyle and I, we have 3 state titles and over 200 wins in wrestling. And then he'd say, I'm just kidding. Doyle has all that stuff. My brother basically got me into wrestling. My oldest brother, Bob, who's in Mitchell, he got me started when I was in 2nd grade. And that first year in AAU, I took 3rd place at the Little Kid State Tournament, and boy, was I disappointed. Next year, I took 1st every time after that for Little Kids AAUs. So I want to thank my family, mom and dad, for coming up, my siblings, my wife and my daughter, Erica, for coming out here with us. It means the world to me. My family's probably my biggest fans. So I'm glad they get to share this with me. A little bit about Northern, just like Adam, I wasn't quite sure. Yeah, I won 3 state titles. And of course, Coach Hummel talked to my mom and dad and said, hey, can you bring Doyle up to Northern? Well, my dad said, let's go up to Northern, take a look at the campus. All right, that's fine. Doesn't hurt nothing. Came up to Northern. Dad dropped me off at the school. And then he went and did his errands. And Coach Hummel gave me a tour. And of course, the first place he takes me to is the wrestling room in Dakota Hall. And it was a little classroom. And Coach Hummel says, this is where we practice. And I said, are you kidding me? You can't even fit a wrestling mat in here. And if anyone knew back then, a full wrestling mat wouldn't fit in our wrestling room. We had to roll it up to the window. But you did get a pretty view of the green, the green scenery out on the grounds. And then Hummel took me to Dakota Hall and said, this is where we wrestle a lot of our matches. I said, Coach, where's the bleachers? Oh, no, we just put the wrestling mat and we bring folding chairs out. You gotta be kidding me. I said, back in Mitchell, we for wrestling matches, we'd fill up the whole high school gymnasium. So Dad comes in. Oh, plus, when I went and visited him, it was the last day of finals. And Hump said, well, I'm going to take you over to Jersey Hall. I know there's some wrestlers over there. And no, they took their tests and split. And Dad came and picked me up. And on the way back to Mitchell, he says, well, what do you think? You think you... I said, God, Dad, I don't know if I want to wrestle here. I said, why? I said, look how little that wrestling room is. I said, Dad said, I tell you what, I'll make you a deal. Wrestle 1 year for Northern. If you don't like it and you want to transfer, then, you know. I said, that's a deal. Well, I'll try it out. So, my first college wrestling match, and like Coach almost said, I only lost 4 times in high school. We went to the Bison Open. And of course, I drew a kid from the University of Minnesota. And I don't know if he tech followed me, but it all felt like he did. And I come walking off the match, and Coach Hummel comes and pats me on the back and says, welcome to college wrestling, kid. And boy, did I have to bite my tongue. So, and yeah, so I like I was telling Coach Hummel before, I said, you know, you got me through this. You got me through 4.5 years of Northern. I feel that they should have put mine and your name on my diploma. So, thank you, Coach Hummel, for it. He's on everything. Remember the time I went in the ditch down by Redfield and I said, Hums, I got to get my car out of the ditch. Where's it at? I said, oh, somewhere between Millette and Redfield. And sure enough, we went and got some wrestlers and went and got it pulled out. And so yeah, I owe Coach Hummel a lot. He was also my advisor through college. Well, he didn't start off as my advisor. I don't even know who I had for an advisor. But that Christmas, I get a phone call, and this was before cell phones, so someone in my family called and said, Doyle, telephone, it's Coach Hummel. Okay. Get on the phone. Hey, Coach Hummel, how are you? Merry Christmas. He goes, Merry Christmas to you. He goes, how's everything going? Good. Are you working out? Yeah, I'm running. I'm going into the high school practices, working out with them. I said, how's your Christmas? Good, good, good. He says, Doyle, have you gotten your grades yet? I said, no, I haven't. He goes, I have. I went, that didn't sound very good. So the next 3.5 years, Coach Hummel was my advisor. So yeah, I tell you what, after spending a year here, I said, no, I'm going to stay here. I enjoy it. It's such an honor. I want to thank my teammates and Bob Hirsch and everyone for coming and helping me celebrate this night. Mike Wiley, Mike and I were team captains our senior year. Great season. Not a great ending, but a great season. So in closing, I do got one more story with Coach Hummel. One more. I could tell you about 10, but they said I only have 10 minutes. I talked to Laura. I said, hey, you guys made me wait 35 years for this. I said, I should get a minute, 1 minute per year you made me wait. God, what story was I going to? I had another story with Coach Hummel. What? I knew I should have brought notes. Oh, God. I bet I think about it when we get up to the rest. I'll tell everyone that story. Anyway, I want to thank everyone thank my teammates. They're the ones that made me the wrestler I was at Northern. Thanks, Mom and Dad. I know my scholarship was only $500 a semester. I think I used all that up after the bookstore, getting my books. But I just I'm grateful. Thank you, Northern State. Thank you to the president, athletic director. This is an honor for me. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Steve. Good job. Here, don't forget your award. Absolutely. You know, like he said, we took some of the inductees on tours earlier, and every corner we took in the Barnett Center, Doyle was looking at different pictures on walls, and the All-American wall and the Hall of Fame wall, and you could just see him light up, and the joy he had today just in looking around campus just made it fun for me to take him around. It was all the inductees, but Doyle just had that look, and he had his wife with him. So congratulations again, Doyle. Our next award is the Kretschmann Coaching Award. This award is a little special to me. It's named after Jim Kretschmann. He's a former NSU athletic director, athlete, longtime coach. This award is given to a Northern alum that has exhibited the characteristics shown by Coach Kretschmann during his career. Competitiveness, discipline, respect for the game. Anybody that knows Coach Kretschmann knows what a Kretschmann characteristic is. And so I'm going to introduce Nate Davis, who's going to help us induct our Kretschmann Coaching Award recipient tonight.
Thanks, Zach. You know, in my short time at Northern as the athletic director, I've just been really impressed by how many of these awards and different things like this that we have, and it's just been really cool for me to kind of continue to learn the history, and this is one that's kind of special. So I'm honored to be here tonight to induct Chuck Welke as our 2022 Kretschmann Award coaching recipient. Chuck passed away unexpectedly in 2021, but his accomplishments were many in his lifetime. So I'd like to welcome one of Chuck's sons, Joel, to come up to the podium tonight to accept this award. So Joel, if you'll join me up here, and we'll see a video here, and then, so come on up, Joel.
The late Charles Chuck Welke earned a Bachelor's of Science in Secondary Education in 1975 and a Master's in Secondary Education in 1999 from Northern. Welke worked at Harold High School and Warner High School, teaching social science, health, and physical education. He served as Warner's athletic director for 15 years and was middle and high school principal for 5 years. In his 27 years as a head boys basketball coach, Welke's record was 439 wins and 185 losses. This included numerous conference, district, and region titles and 9 appearances at the State B basketball tournament. He also coached the Warner girls basketball team for 4 years with a record of 48 wins and 31 losses. Welke's awards and honors include 1993 South Dakota High School Basketball Coach of the Year, 2008 South Dakota Basketball Coaches Association Hall of Fame, 2009 Region 2 Athletic Director of the Year, 2010 South Dakota High School Coaches Association Hall of Fame, and 2014 South Dakota High School Activities Association Distinguished Service Award. Welke and his wife Ellen have 3 children, Chuck, Joel, and Amber, all of whom played basketball for the Warner Monarchs with Welke as coach. They also have 8 grandchildren, Jada, Jasmine, William, Jackson, Preston, Jameson, Brielle, and Evan. Welke retired in 2010 and served as a South Dakota Senator from 2013 to 2014. In 2021, he passed away unexpectedly of cardiac arrest. Welke was passionate about his family, students, and community. He strongly believed in serving others. His final act of service was to donate his corneas to Dakota Lions Sight and Health, resulting in 2 people regaining their sight. Congratulations and welcome to the NSU Hall of Fame, Chuck Welke.
Thanks, Nate and Zach. Appreciate it. Before I get started, I promise I will stay well under the limit. For all you that knew Chuck, he would have breezed right past that limit and probably went about 35. So there's that. Charles Welke lived and loved by his favorite quote: play hard, play smart, but most importantly, have fun. Now, it's a great life motto, but if you think about it, it's great in all of life's aspects. Good evening. Thank you all for coming tonight. Appreciate it. My name is Joel Welke, son of Chuck, and it is my honor and privilege to represent the late and great Chuck Welke. While preparing, I struggled to find just the right words. So much to say, so little time. Any of you that have lost a loved one along the way will understand me when I say it would have been just great for him to be here to accept this award and receive these praises. His presence as the myth and legend he was always fun for me to say when he would enter a room kind of like this in my best announcer voice. Charles Welke, everybody. The man, the myth, the legend. And usually the crowd would go wild. Man, I would love to give him that entrance right now. He would stroll up here in Bubba fashion and enlighten us all with an excellent speech that would contain feel-good pointers and laughs along the way. He would be truly giddy and happy for this achievement and the recognition with all kinds of emotions bubbling to the surface. But he would accept it with pride and completely humble, as always, to receive such an honor. In past conversations he had with my mom, he was always so proud of all of his achievements, but one that he always eyed was the Kretschmann Coaching Award. And he always said to her it would just be really special to receive it. My dad really respected Jim Kretschmann. Charles was one of a kind, with attributes as long as imaginable. He continues and will continue to be successful long after his death in May of 21. As you all know, he loved to coach. It was his passion on and off the court. On the court, he had a tremendous career that words just can't describe. Wins, losses, sacrifices, sweat, tears, blood, he gave it his all. He coached many great athletes along the way that all built wonderful careers of their own. And since his passing, many have shared with me just how important my dad was in each of their lives. I know he also took great pride in coaching each one of his children. All of us, Chuck Jr., Amber, Welke, Frericks, myself, all had the privilege to play under Coach Welke. His off-the-court coaching was just as impressive. He was a true servant and loved to serve his community, family, and friends. After retirement, he passed his passion of coaching on with and to his grandkids. I know if he was here right now, he would want to thank all the important people in his life. No matter how big or small, he had a way to make others feel important. But at the same time, he was just super thankful to have them in their lives, in his life. First and foremost, he would want to thank the love of his life, Ellen Welke, my mom. She was and is the rock behind the scenes. As you may know, being a coach's wife is never easy. It's never an easy gig. But she did it with pride and understanding, even though there were difficult times along the way that tested friendships. She was a true confidant. And on top of that, it happens to be her birthday today. Happy birthday, Ellen. He would also like to thank the entire teaching, coaching, administration, and staff, and the entire community of not only Warner, but all the communities that he was involved in. He would also thank Northern State University, the staff, the alumni, supporters, and everybody in between. Northern was so important to my dad, as it is to our family. He was a true wolf, and he graduated in 1975, is that right? 3 others of us graduated from Northern in our family. My mom, myself, and my sister Amber, and a couple in-laws, Chris Frericks, Angela Opitz Welke. He would also thank every single player, coach, student, and their families, as well as his family, grandchildren, and children, for supporting him throughout his career and his life. So, on behalf of Chuck Welke, my family, and my friends, I want to thank Northern State University for honoring my dad with the Kretschmann Coaching Award. Congratulations, Dad. You should be very proud. I know we sure are. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Joel. Appreciate the memories of your father. Ellen, congratulations, and happy birthday. At this time, we're going to induct our 2022 Distinguished Alumnus, Roger Youngman. Karen, if I could have you come up front with me at the podium. You know, I'm gonna speak on behalf of Karen and Roger and the family, but Karen may add something if she feels. But you know, Roger was really special for a long time. For those of you that didn't know Roger, might have been because he spent 40 years overseas, or I don't know how.
31 years.
31 years overseas. Roger being inducted as a distinguished alumni at Northern is really an honor for Roger and Karen, because that meant she spent 31 years overseas. Away from family, friends, raising kids, and doing all those things. Their traveling the world was all working with students as they taught at, let's see here, in the Azores, Germany, Japan. And then they got to come back to South Dakota, where they were born and raised, and got to impact the lives of students in South Dakota. The video clip you're going to see will share a little bit of Roger's achievements, but their generous support of others, particularly Northern, is really important. We have the Youngman coaching offices around the corner, fine arts, the football program. I can't tell you how many times Roger and Karen would show up, and either Karen would sit in the car and Roger would come in and say, "Zach, I got something for you." I don't know if he ever came to my office without dropping off a check. And it wasn't because he was asked, it was just because he really, truly loved to help others. It's just the selfless servant leadership characteristics that both Roger and Karen have. And it's just what makes people special, and it's why Northern really wanted to recognize them and their family. It was really sad when we lost Roger, and we just lost him recently. This was something very exciting to him. I remember when I got to tell you guys when he came into the office.
He was very excited, but emotional.
It was really emotional. And I think you were probably honestly more emotional than he was. And I think it was just because it's really a recognition of his lifetime achievement of just really wanting to help others and serve people. So we're going to show the video, and then if you want to say a few words, you can. So here's the video.
The late Roger Youngman, NSU Distinguished Alumnus, graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Math and Physical Science from Northern State Teachers College in 1963. He received an MA in Math from Central Michigan in 1968 with 3 sequential summers at the National Science Institute. He is a founding member of the international chapter of the National Association of Secondary School Principals. He served that group as president in 1983 and 1984. His community involvement includes Lutheran Church in Bowdle, Protestant Church military communities in Japan, Azores, and Germany, and basketball official at the high school and military league level in Japan, Azores, and Germany as well. Youngman retired from the Department of Defense in 2000 and retired from the Condé School District in 2006. He lived in Aberdeen with his wife Karen K. Dinger Youngman. They have 3 children, James, Scott, and Todd, and 6 grandchildren, Tyler, Mackenzie, Trace, Riley, Jackson, and Elizabeth. Congratulations to Northern State University Hall of Famer Roger Youngman.
I just want to thank you for this honor. Roger was really excited. He was emotional when Zach announced that he would be the distinguished alumnus, and he really was looking forward to this evening. I tried to get him healthy. I said, Roger, take your pills. Roger, you got to eat. But he had other plans. Roger passed away on August 25th. We had his funeral was on the 2nd of September, and we had a nice celebration of his life. Probably something he will remember, and all of us remember, we had this first annual Roger E. Youngman golf scramble out at Moccasin Creek. And we all had a good time. Thank you.
Our last award of the evening is the Lifetime Achievement Award. This is actually the first time we've given this award. Traditionally, the awards we do on this evening are for Northern State University alumni, people that graduated from Northern and then went on to do great things or had a great career. But every once in a while, there's just somebody that's that special to a program that even though they're not a Northern alum, you need to recognize them. And that's the situation we're in tonight with Dr. Lester Clark. So I'm going to ask Brian Shishnia to come up as we introduce Lester Clark as the Lifetime Achievement Award recipient.
Lester Clark was born in 1922 and grew up in Wessington, South Dakota. He received his Bachelor's of Science in Teacher Education and Animal Husbandry from SDSU in 1943. Clark was called to active duty in the U.S. Navy in 1943 and spent 2 years in the South Pacific and Pearl Harbor. Upon his return to the United States, he married his wife, the late Charlotte Wilson Clark, in 1945. Clark left active duty in 1946, but spent 9 years in the reserves. He worked at Sisseton High School from 1946 to 1957, including 8 years as teacher and 4 years as principal. In 1959, Clark received his doctorate from the University of Wyoming. His career with Northern began in 1959. Clark was the face of the NSU School of Education for over 30 years, serving as professor, department chair, and dean of the School of Education. Clark also served as NSU Vice President of Academics and interim NSU President twice. Clark retired in 1984 but continued as a teacher and member of the graduate faculty till 1992. Clark was also an international liaison, part of the first U.S. group allowed into China, an educational trip to Fudan University in 1979. The Clarks housed international students, including Lian Zhao Shishnia, the first Chinese student at NSU. He also served as superintendent of the South Dakota School for the Blind and Visually Impaired. Longtime friends and supporters of Northern, the Clarks have generously given many gifts to support the NSU Foundation. Original President Club members in 1972, they also created numerous endowments. Congratulations to Northern State University Hall of Famer Lester Clark.
So, I do have notes, and I'm not a salesman. Nothing wrong with being a salesman. So, Lian Zhao Shishnia, nationality, guesses? So, Chinese and Polish. So that's my connection to Lester. Leanne was my wife for 22 years. She's still alive and well. We're still friends. So that's my connection to Lester. And he's basically, Les and Charlotte didn't have kids. And so Leanne and I were basically like their kids. And they took us in just like family. So I was lucky enough to have my parents and then another set of parents. And he's really excited to have this award, but he's 101. He's having breathing problems. Doesn't walk anymore. So when I told him about the award, he says, "Oh boy, oh boy," you know. He's pretty excited about it. And I guess I want to touch on just a few things that aren't in the bio here. He was an avid hunter and fisherman, and him and Charlotte, because they didn't have kids, their hobby was traveling. So we figured that they flew over 300,000 miles. It's like close to 100 countries, 5 times around the world. And so he's got all kinds of stories to tell. If you read the bio, he was a lieutenant in the Navy. And I'll tell just one quick story that Jack and Jean Clark are here, his niece and nephew, that they've probably heard it 4 times. So they'll find it funny anyways if you don't. So the first time I met Lester was I met Leanne at Northern here. I'm a biology major, or was. And so I met her, this cute little Chinese girl, and asked her out to lunch. And she said, "Okay, yeah, come pick me up Saturday." So Saturday comes, and I went to the address, and I pulled in the driveway. Probably had blue jeans on and a muscle shirt. And pulled in the driveway, honked my horn. Nobody came out. So I honked my horn again. And this guy comes walking out. And I said, "Hello." And he said, "Yes." He said, "What do you want?" And I said, "I'm here for Leanne." He said, "You shut your car off, and you come and you ring the doorbell, and you come in and introduce yourself." And he didn't ask me, he told me. So what did I do? I shut my car off, and I went and rang the bell and introduced myself. So he was a very proper guy, and he is a very proper guy. He's very protective of Leanne. So I've got some words here from Lester that he wanted you to hear.
101 and great with modern technology, by the way.
And you athletes will like the end of this.
Yes, being honored by the Northern State Foundation and by Northern State University is a very meaning thing to me. So I say thank you to the university and thank you to the foundation. I just wish that work can go ahead and there's a lot of work for the foundation to do, and really some great things to come from Northern. So thank you, Northern. Thank you, foundation, and go and keep going in the future. Finally, I'd say today, go Wolves!
Thank you, Brian. Like you said, Lester is 101, and until the last few months, we thought he'd be able to come. Matter of fact, 6 months ago or so, we gave him a tour of the stadium, and he was actually a donor. He was a very good supporter of Northern, but he took great pride in saying, "I helped build that." And when we brought him over, we took him around in a wheelchair, and his sight was not very good, but his mind is still extremely sharp. And so between Brian and I, we were explaining things to him. And here again, the pride that he takes in Northern, he started in 1959. He's telling me stories of remembering the railroad tracks through the middle of campus. He was in World War II, and he's talking about traveling overseas, and just to get to talk to somebody that was 100 years old at the time when I interviewed him was just something that not many people get to do, and so I had great respect for Lester. So one more round of applause for Lester. Okay, I would like to congratulate all of our recipients for the rest of this evening. That was our last award, but I would like to welcome back to the podium President Neil Schnorr.
Well, was that a great night, or was that a great night? It truly is more than an award. It's the stories that we heard. It's the relationships that were formed. It's truly the fabric of our university, and we feel it every day. We're buoyed, we're supported by it, we're challenged by it to rise to your achievements as an institution. Thanks for enriching all of us with that. I would be remiss if I didn't. There was another star of the show tonight, huh? Can we please give Zach Flackus an amazing round of applause for his work? Zach introduced me to everyone in town whose name I can remember, almost all the faces if he's not there. He goes back to the history of the institution. He's just a walking dictionary, encyclopedia of information for all of us. To all of you again, let's give another round of applause. Wonderful speeches tonight. We remind you, we hope we see you at the parade in the morning. Button up. It's going to be a little chilly, but the day will be beautiful. There's numerous athletic contests going on. And let's help Lester out. I'm going to time it on the count of 3. Let's get a really good Go Wolves. If you don't do it right the first time, I'm an old band director. We will do it again and again and again until we get it right. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Go Wolves! All right.